Hey everybody, I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass, Mark Wages is getting some really well-needed rest. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. So, my partner and friend, Mark Wages, is... you know what? There's no easy way to say it. Mark's burnt out a little bit. And it's not because of the lifeboat. It's because of so much that he has going on. Hey, M. Hunt, good to see you. You know something, people? I have a new laptop. And when I look now and I look over, your messages are this big. It's a touch screen, and I can blow things up with it. And I have never, ever been happier. Alan Valentine, good to see you, my friend. I missed Alan on our call, so I'm going to have to talk to you later, Alan. I was out in traffic today in the car. I have a little piece of plastic that's been hanging off of the front of it. So I pulled over to play with the plastic, and a police officer pulled up behind me and said, hey, can I give you a hand? I wanted to say, no, you can leave me alone. But I got to get over that and get to the point where I'm not bothered by the men in blue. It is what it is. Let me get that straight. Okay, so Mark does a lot with Marfugel. He's their go-to guy when it comes to all things having to do with space weather or anything having to do with space. Period. He's also a moderator over there and spends a lot of time. Hey, DJ Daddy-O, good to see you, bud. Ilea, glad that you're here. Mark is not here, Ilea. Mark needs some sleep, people. He got 2 hours of sleep in 4 days. And we were talking today, and he said, I'm getting burned out, and I'm feeling, the pressure of life and of other things. And I said, of course you are. You're not sleeping, right? You can't get through life with no sleep, right? That you simply cannot do it. So he's going to be taking the night off, and I think that it is absolutely needed. And this is why you losing people. Major, could you explain what that means? Because I'm not sure exactly what that means. And this is why you losing people. Yeah, not sure where that is. Yeah, keep marking your prayers. He needs a little bit of a break. And, he deserves it. He works really, really hard. He's done a lot for us over the years. I do believe that you're selling out, my friend. Okay. Major, guess what? That's going to be the last time that you say that here. In fact, I'm going to have you removed from the comment section. So it's been really nice talking to you, Major. We talked about this once before. As far as the selling out thing goes, you're gone. Really sorry. Hate to be that guy. But that's not going to happen again. This is one of those situations that we have talked about. The reason for this, now don't mention his name again and move on. Thank you. People, the reason that I do what I do, the reason that we sell memberships is so that when someone needs the ability to be helped, we can do it. Yesterday, 2 people got on Subutex or Suboxone so that they could get off of chemicals that were killing them. I can't afford to go into my bank account and do that. And with 3,600 people, and the fact that I say fentanyl or heroin in every single video, which means that we can't really monetize. Although we are monetized, not sure what's going on, Daniel said. Daniel, I hate to have to do this, but we have to. There are, excuse me, there are people that have a problem with the fact that we have memberships. No one is required to become a member. The people who do it as a way to support the channel so that we can help people get sober. There are a lot of people that the Lifeboat has been able to help. Thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's money that you all donated. We don't do this to make a living. He said, you sold out. And we had this conversation once before, and I was very nice about it. Said, I'm not going to have this discussion again. So if it comes up again, the crew, I said, if it comes up again, he's gone. I can't have it. So we're moving on. Today's subject matter, people. First of all, there's a lot going on, a lot. And if you need to get your 5 and you don't have it, we now have an ability for you to do that. We have put together as we were talking about, we have put together a group page where you can go and pop in and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I'm looking for my 5. We do not want this, and it's explained really well. So I'm going to give you the contact on how you can go and use the site, and it's explained pretty well there. But just got done working out. Well done, Brandon. But the reason for this is the reason that the rules are there is because it's pretty important. What we don't want this to become is we don't want this to be a situation where people go and have a chat forum and it becomes the lifeboat when the lifeboat's not live. And the reason for that is important. I don't want anyone's personal information out there, number one. Number two, those of us who are going to be monitoring this don't want to hear ding, 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 ding. Every time somebody leaves a comment with somebody else, it gives us an alert. That alert should say someone is there and they need help. So there are other places that we can go. Lady Crispin just put up a link. Find Your 5 support group. If you want to click on that, you're going to be seeing a lot of that. We're going to make sure that everybody knows the address and they can all go and get help and can find your 5. Absolutely a great concept, and I really believe this is going to work out well so that people have an opportunity to talk to one another. And that's going to be something that we have really high hopes for in terms of helping individuals. Let me see something here. Receiving funds to help people get on Suboxone, get checked into rehab, or move out of a bad situation is not selling out. Thank you, Ilea. I appreciate that. And it isn't. It's something that we're proud of. We talked about it for a long time, Mark and I, and we're really proud of it. And you know what? You people have supported it in an amazing way. And you're owed a little bit more content from us. I'll be honest. I put a lot on Mark's plate. One of the reasons that I went and got this new laptop is so that I can do the editing and I can do some things. I put a lot on Mark's plate. Probably too much, just being honest. And it's not something that, that I want to see. I don't want to stress the guy out to the point where this isn't fun for him anymore. Hey, Joe, good to see you, my friend. Glad that you're here. So I'm going to be doing a lot of the editing now, and so you'll be seeing some of the videos. They're already shot. I'm just going to edit them myself, and the members will be seeing them in the very near future. Blue Dazzle Bug is here. I don't know if I saw Doodlebug here, but I know he will be. Of course, you guys know that Doodlebug is our friend Buddha. Why was the soccer player afraid to play at night? Because the pitch was too dark. Ba-dum-bum. Nice. Well played. By the way, people, and this is the last I will say of this, I take no joy whatsoever in removing people. I take no joy in that whatsoever. But the comment, that's why you're losing people. We're not losing people. We're gaining people. The lifeboat's growth has been absolutely astounding. We could not be any happier with the rate that the lifeboat is growing, especially when you consider the type of channel that we are. Also, there are about 55 people who have chosen to become members and help with their donations, and that really is a beautiful thing. So are all of the donations that you guys do when you do super chats and all that. It really does make a difference. Brandon, 29. Proud of you, my brother. Proud of you. That means tomorrow will be 1 month. That's a big day, people. If you've ever played this game, you know that 30 days is huge. It's huge. You set the rules. If you don't follow, it's disrespectful. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. It's not. I take no joy in this. I really don't. And I like the guy, but To be honest, there are times where he just wants to be combative, and it's not going to happen here again. So you saw today's thumbnail. I've gotten so many emails from people, and I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, people, because it's working and it's helping. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. There are 30 of us in here right now. Oh, I'm sorry. There are 40 of us in here right now, and there are 19 thumbs up. Do me a favor. Pop out and hit that button. Pop out and hit that button. The first 15 minutes are the most important part. If the big red button sees 40 people and 40, thumbs up, it goes a long way to pushing this out a little bit further. I am the noise opera, says making a difference. You know what? You are. You are. You really are. Thank you for all of your support and your help, and for how much you've done to better yourself, man. You've really become absolutely amazing. Lady Crispin says, please add yourself to the group to help. Even if you have 5, you'll be helping others who don't have 5. Absolutely a great, great thing. When someone is a jackwagon on my channel, I absolutely take joy in blocking them because I'm protecting the riders on the bus. You know what? And I get that. And I hear that from a lot of other people. Here, we're talking about people that need help. And I don't take joy in removing anyone that needs assistance of any kind. It hurts. And he's a guy that I care about. I really do. But we had a very kind discussion about it, and it was over. So it's over. That's all I got to say about that. Mark, hello. Good to see you. Stephanie LaRue. Stephanie, so good to see you. Glad that you're here. The reason for member subscriptions, yes. Stephanie, glad that you're here. Welcome to the boat. So this ought to get a good one. I can't believe I'm about to do this, people. I honestly cannot believe I'm about to do this, but I'm going to. That's right. You saw it. Take joy in that. That's as close as you're ever going to get to see me eating Vegemite. I know Alan Ballantyne and Lady Crispin are laughing hysterically. Yeah, I knew that everybody was going to get a laugh out of that. What do you get when you mix hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide? 2 molecules that can't stand each other. My brother says I love Vegemite, but he also has cooked his taste buds to the point where, come on, you really can't take anything that Johnny says seriously. I love him, but come on. It just doesn't, it doesn't work. You know, it just doesn't. Oh, yeah, love the mug. Yeah, the mug is good. So here's the deal, people. I've gotten so many emails recently from a lot of people who complain about feeling insane and feeling like the damage that's been done by drugs. Hello, beautiful people. New to this channel, came from Wages. Kimberly Ray, great to have you here. Welcome. A lot of love from the people over on Wages World. Had a lot of the people here. You should run into a lot of people that you know. I love it that it arrived. Vegemite, yeah. So there was definitely a feeling caused by long-term use of drugs. Depending on the drug, this can be more serious than other things. You stop that, Alan Ballantyne. You're better than that. There are certain chemicals that cause more of a problem in the gray matter than others. The abuse of alcohol has long-term effects that can cause people to start feeling like maybe they're losing it. And I'm not talking about, somebody that's had a couple of drinks or somebody that drinks, in any kind of a way you could consider social. But when you start drinking, a fifth a day, a half a fifth a day, and you do this for long periods of time, there is damage done to the brain, and it will begin to give you that feeling of insanity. I want you to know, none of you are crazy. You're not. It is a feeling that we get, and it's a feeling, unfortunately, that is really hammered home by society, right? Society enjoys putting down people who have problems with drugs and alcohol. Sadly, this is a fact, and it has been for a long time. And, this is something that's been perpetuated for years by the concept that there is something defective, with somebody that has a drug or alcohol problem, as opposed to looking at it for what it is, which is a disease. There are people who look at it as a character defect, as a flaw in who you are as a person. And for that reason, they perpetuate this, insanity thing. And it really is starting to have an effect. A lot of you reach out and you say that, you really feel like drugs have made you insane. Look, while you're using, drugs do make you insane, right? They do. And the things that we do, hello, squirrel, and the things that we do while using are insane. Bank robbery is probably not something that normal people do, right? There's a lot of things like that we do. We make very bad decisions that very often look insane. But it is the substance, people. It's not you. And the farther you get away from that substance, the less you're going to feel that level of insanity. I don't like the membership, but we lost in music. Okay, Dave, sorry that you don't like the membership. You don't have to pay for it, bud. No problem at all. So that feeling of insanity is something that comes up again and again, and it really it's taking away from the healing process that people go through. It's something that really becomes an issue. You know what, people? There's no reason to debate this in the comment section. I appreciate you sticking up for me. I really do. But make no mistake, Ilea, you're Ilea. I love Ilea. I really do. Ilea's slick, and Dave is the same cat, so it's all good. The point, people, is that this thought of insanity is something that keeps people in the game, whether you realize it or not. The belief that you are defective makes getting sober far more difficult. You have to come to the realization that what you are dealing with, plain and simple, is a disease. It is absolutely verifiable, right? There are going to be some people, I'll get some messages today, that, hey, it's not a disease, cancer's a disease, this is just an addiction. What makes something a disease is something that is no longer a debate, right? There are 3 criteria that make something a disease. Drug addiction, as every other addiction, all fall into that category. And the reason that it was debated for a long period of time was because the final straw is there a test, right? If there is not a test that you can do, the reason that fibromyalgia, and I am not for 1 second saying that fibromyalgia is not real, because I happen to know it is, right? I have a lot of people on the lifeboat who have been plagued by fibromyalgia. It is real, 100%. However, there is no test for it. Because there is no test for fibromyalgia, they will not call it a disease. It is treated by intelligent doctors as if it is. But drug addiction can be absolutely tested. Addiction in general, you can do a test. You can take a picture of a person's brain and you will find that part of the person's brain is hyperactive. It is more active than it should be. And there are other parts of the brain where the exact opposite thing happens. And I don't mean while you're high. Obviously, when you're under the influence, the things that are going on in the brain really can... How tight car accident across the road? You need to rubberneck. Be careful. That rubbernecking can cause car wrecks. Once this concept starts to take hold, it makes us stay in our addiction. Do you understand this principle? If you believe you're insane, if you believe that drugs have damaged your brain to the point where you're no longer normal, air quotes, normal, as you begin to get sober, right, this is going to be something that wears on you, right? It's going to be something that works on that part of the brain that tries to get you to use. Your brain is not your friend. Not when it comes to sobriety. Your brain wants the path of least resistance. So if you've been using drugs for any length of time, it wants you to continue to do so. Hey, Doodlebug, good to see you. Your brain wants you to continue using dope. It wants you to continue to drink. So as you start to get sober and you've got 5 days, 6 days, a week, every single thing your brain can throw at you, it is going to, right? It's going to start with the big ones. Guilt is going to be the first thing that really hammers you. And then, the halt, the hungry, angry, lonely, tired, all of that. 1 second. Apparently, smoking cannabis can affect your short-term memory. Well, if that's true, what do you think smoking cannabis does? Well done. 7th, probably some of your better work. That's a good one. So the longer that you stay, the longer you remain sober, the more your brain is going to fight you. And one of the things that is going to happen is you're going to feel defective. You're going to feel like your brain isn't working right. And you know what? It probably isn't working exactly the way you would like it to. Doesn't mean it's not going to heal. It doesn't mean it's not going to get better. It is. I promise you it is. And depending on the substance that you're on, there is a very definable period of time it takes before brain chemistry starts to act normal again. Okay? Yeah, that really was glorious. If your substance of choice is alcohol, at about 14 days, you are going to begin to get normal brain function. Normal brain activity begins to start again at about 14 days. Doesn't mean you're right as rain. It just means that you're starting to slide back into a place. I saw something here I wanted to answer. If you didn't have this channel, would you still be good? You're referring to me? That's a great question. That really is a great question. Would I still be good if I didn't have this channel? Would I still be sober? This is a huge part of my sobriety. The fact that I come here day in and day out, and I love you too, Flamin' Jackson. The fact that I'm here day in, day out, talking to you people about drugs, and more importantly, working with people when I'm not live, right? The vast majority of work that my partner and I do really takes place when we're not filming the lifeboat. When we're talking to individuals who are trying to get sober, when we're talking to people who are, trying to quit, that really has become a very large part of my sobriety. So would I be okay without the channel? I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I stayed sober for 5 years without the lifeboat, but during that time, I was doing very similar stuff. I was doing very, very similar stuff. Yeah, YouTube is getting increasingly more fascist. They could shut you down anytime. What would you do? Well, a couple of things. We go out of our way to not do anything to offend the big red button. Do they do some fascist stuff? They definitely shut some people down, and they do it for some unusual reasons. If the lifeboat were to get shut down, I would continue to do exactly what I'm doing. I just wouldn't do it here. And if it meant being on a street corner, if it meant holding a meeting of 25 or 35 people in the basement of a church on Sundays, right, or at a meeting hall somewhere in town where I could go and do what I do, I would continue to try to help people get sober. And the reason for that is it is the greatest payoff in the chemical. In the feel-good chemicals of the brain, the best payoff that you can get is service to others. So when you help somebody, and it doesn't matter what you're doing to help them, but if you help somebody get sober, for me, obviously that's what I consider a calling. And when you help somebody fight an addiction, every single drug you can think of that your brain says, let's buy a warehouse. There you go. I like it. We'll get a big warehouse and we'll do it. Before there was YouTube, I did this on a prison yard. And you want to talk about a place that takes a little bit of guts to do this. A prison yard was tough because there's a lot of people that don't want to hear it. And there's a lot of people that think you're a hypocrite for even talking about it because you're in prison anyway. And there was some pushback. But before it was all said and done, that original group grew to over 100 people, about 115 at one point, 116, somewhere in there. So I would continue to do this, but that's an excellent question. It really is. It's a great question. We are putting into place some other sort of backup opportunities. We're going to begin to do what we do here on other platforms. Does not mean we would not do what we're doing on the big red button. We will continue to be here. And truth be told, we're pretty good at flying under the radar. Sounds good, but never underestimate the power and influence of environment. They say bad company corrupts good character. You know something? Here's another great point. If there are 4 people that are hanging out and 3 of them are doing heroin every day, and one of them doesn't want to do heroin, wants to get the other 3 sober, and you hang out with them day in, day out, the odds are really high that you will end up doing heroin before you get those 3 people clean. That's just the way it goes. It's a fact. But what I do is unique in that I'm not walking into a shooting parlor, right, where there are 25 people in there with needles in their arms saying, all right, guys, I'm going to spend the next hour and a half talking to you about getting clean and getting sober. The people that I talk to are not bad influences. The people I talk to, the majority of them are people that want to get sober. I never take drugs. I always pay for them. Yep, heard that one a few times. That's definitely one that I've heard a few times. The point is you work with people who are wanting to get better. You're working with people who are attempting to get clean. And can they bring you down? Absolutely. You have to be careful in what you do. This has to be, it has to be something that you're ready for, because I'll tell you something, it's ugly. It really is. It's ugly. There's not a day that goes by that I don't get someone who reaches out and says, so-and-so just overdosed and died. That is a very serious part of what we do. And it's painful. It really is. It's painful. I got a text message today that said, there's someone that has been on the boat for a while and is a member in good standing. This person reached out and said, I was really trying to help somebody on the street get sober, and unfortunately we lost her. And that's hell. And it's the reality of what we do. But what ends up happening is you end up either tapping out and saying this is too much, this isn't something I can deal with, or you learn to compartmentalize specific amounts of what you do. And the other thing, more than anything in the world, is you really, really have to learn to rely on your 5, right? Fortunately for me, my 5 is considerably larger than 5. But, Johnny and Alan Ballantyne and Lady Crispin and the people that I reach out to when I need to talk about what's going on, and obviously my bobble-headed partner. There are times where we just need to sit down and dump. One of the other things that I do to protect myself, and I recommend this to everybody every day, and some listen and some don't, but one of the other things I do is I don't allow this stuff to rent space in my dome, right? I don't allow the stuff that is heartbreaking and heart-wrenching that happens as part of what we do to live in my head and take up space. So how do you do that, right? How do you avoid that? Because obviously it's a tough thing to do. Well, don't leave it there, right? We have learned, and we've talked about this a lot. If you're new to the boat, this may be a new concept to you, but your brain works in a couple of different ways, right? There's the reactive part of your brain. There's the part of your brain that runs specifically on emotion. You know what, Ilea? I love you. You're a good girl. You really are. And Pagan could definitely use to talk to some people. Yep. She says, I'm going to dump it in my journal. That's what you do. That's what you do. The reason I say get up in the morning and dump everything you got in your dome and put it into a journal. The reason that you do that is you don't want that stuff to take root. You don't want that stuff, and you say, well, I'm not thinking about it. It doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. You literally have to get it out of your head. And by putting it down on your, in your journal, does that mean it disappears? No, it doesn't. That you can't make things disappear. What you can do, though, is you can switch from the emotional part of your brain to the logical part of your brain. In order to sit down grab a pen, take a piece of paper, and start to write out the things that are going on in your head, the stuff that you need to dump. By doing that, you're literally switching from the emotional part of your brain, right? Or the part of your brain that is basically reactive. And you're switching it to the part of your brain that works on logic, right? The frontal lobe can do really amazing things. And one of the reasons that we do so poorly when we don't dump stuff, butterfly effect journals. Yeah, there's something to be said for getting all of this stuff out. And I recommend doing it at night before you go to bed. Why? Well, it's going to bring to the forefront, it's going to bring to your frontal lobe the things that you really need to work on while you're asleep. When you go to bed, your brain, right, punches in. And it starts to work through things that are difficult. And it does it in some very, very unusual ways, right? We have dreams that don't seem to make any sense, right? There's always a pink elephant, or you're floating, or all of these odd things are happening. But it is your brain's way of dealing with the things that it can't deal with while you're conscious, right? It really is one of those things that you have to, pick up a pen. Give this a try, people. I know this is a frustrating concept to a lot of people. People don't want to sit down and write. For whatever reason, it's like reading. We feel like we got out of school and said, whoa, I'm done with that. I'm never, ever reading another book. And I sure as hell am never going to write anything else down again. If you can get a tablet that allows you to write on it, to me, that is the greatest thing in the world. I can sit and scroll the things that I've got on my mind. Before I go to bed, I dump all of it. I get everything out. And it's funny. We had a testimonial about this the other day that someone said, well, the stuff I was writing about was not of any consequence. It all just seemed like, pretty basic stuff. It wasn't really important. And then it's odd because I had a dream about it. Okay. If you start to put this stuff down on paper before you go to bed, you are going to begin to work through these things while you're asleep. That's the purpose of dreams. So by journaling before you go to bed, you're bringing to the forefront the things that you really need to work on. That is one of those things. Fitting into an insane world, I like this. Fitting into an insane world is no measure of sanity either. The world is insane. There's something to that. And it seems like every day the world gets just a little tougher to live in. It really does. And we all know that that's happening. We all know that it's a challenge. It really is. And it's one of the reasons that groups like this are important. We have an opportunity here to do some things that honestly are amazing. And the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. There are a lot of people here who have done amazing things with their lives by coming here and communicating and talking about what's going on in their lives and then working on it. I bring up, some people over and over again. I'm sorry that I constantly bring up Alan Ballantyne, but look what this man has been capable of doing, right? He lost an entire human being, a good-sized human being, by the way, and he quit doing meth, quit drinking. Now he gets out every single day and he goes and he walks. He does what we talk about here, and it has made him a happier and a healthier person. It really has done an awful lot of good for him. He is a happier person. He is beginning to look into a relationship with God, which is something that he lost while he was using it. A lot of people do. Spirituality tends to take a back seat when someone's getting high. It's very difficult to concentrate on God when you're sticking needles in your arms. That's the reality of what it is that the life that we live when we choose to do drugs. So that's nighttime. And when you get up in the morning, what has been going on in your dome, right, while you've been asleep, you have a bunch of unresolved issues. You may not remember any of them, but we don't fix everything in our dreams. We try. That's what the brain tries to do. The brain does everything within its power to make sure that you're working, right? You're trying to get through your problems. But when you wake up in the morning, there's still unresolved issues. And they may not make sense. You may not even realize they're there, but they are. You have this entire load of stuff right here. Why? Because all night long, you have been working through your problems while you were asleep. You think you're just cuddling up, right? You got the covers there pulled up to your chin, squirrel is somewhere nearby, and life is good. But your brain is working full time to try to get through the things that are bothering you and the things that are issues in your life. So when you wake up in the morning, do a dump. Just do a dump. Get everything that you've got in your head and remove it, right? Get everything that you've got in your head and dump it. Put it onto a piece of paper and get that out. Because once again, there is no reason whatsoever to allow this stuff to affect your day. If you do not dump what you've got in your head, get it out before the day starts, your subconscious will continue to work during the day. Is that good? There are days it might be, and there are days it might not be. The best thing that you can do is just dump it. Take the time to journal at night and take the time to journal in the morning. And those two things will do wonders, right, for changing how you feel. And this will go a long way to convince you that you're not insane, right? The world might be, but you're not. If you don't dump, I'm going to remind you. And it's funny because if you don't dump, your brain's going to remind you as well. Rip Curl readiness. If you just notice, people, Rip has been upgraded to wrench status. Something that we're pretty happy about. Rip has been a member of the lifeboat for a really, really long time, and he's a guy that is pretty good at this whole YouTube thing. If you've never gone over and checked out his channel, shame on you. Go over and check out Rip Curl Readiness, and he's got a second channel, Rip on the Range, which is a lot of fun. It's I enjoy him, I really do, and it's great having him here because he's a person that has your back, and I don't just mean with a wrench. He's one of those people that will be here for anybody on the lifeboat. If you've never seen the interviews that we've done with him, please go back and watch them. I believe there were 3 altogether, and they were absolutely amazing interviews. When you do this for any length of time, the scariest thing as a public speaker, right, or as somebody that creates content, the scariest thing is not getting in front of the camera and talking to you. The scariest thing is when you bring someone else in, right? If you go back and watch the interviews we did, there was one in particular, and I'm not picking on anybody. It was a long, long time ago, but before we went live, Mark and I talked to this person, and I said, "So tell me a little bit." We had about 15 minutes, in the green room right before we went live, and I said, "Tell me a little bit about your drug use." He said, "Well, it started when I was about 13. First drug I tried was weed, and that kind of created some problems in my life. And by the time I was about 17, I was already having brushes with the law. The first time I got arrested was," and he just dumped, right, all of this information out. And I said, "Perfect." I said, "Good. We're just going to revisit this. We're going to do the same thing." But that's what we're looking for. We don't script any of this stuff. We want it to be, we want to be hearing it for the first time, same as you, right? So, hold on one second. Oh no. Sorry about the C plus math. Tough stuff. It's been really tough on a lot of people. I'm going to make a playlist with all the interviews. Thank you, Lady Crispin. We really appreciate that. So we get this guy live, and the interview starts, right? And we want to hear the stuff for the first time, just like you do. It makes for a better interview. So we said, "Tell me a little bit about your drug use." I said, "How old were you when you first started using?" He went, 13. I said, "And what was what drug did you start with?" "Weed." People, this went on like that for, I'm not kidding you, an entire hour. I had people sending me texts, "Try this, ask him that, try this, try that," because I'm trying to bring out, an interview that was fun to watch, that told you a little bit about this person's story, because it was an interesting story. It really was. It was just a tough interview, and they're always frightening. And then you get somebody like Rip. We got Rip on the first time, and I said, I asked a question and it was like, I sat back. Rip had everything he wanted to say in a chronological order, and it came out beautifully, and it was poignant. And, he made points. Maybe a couple of times, Mark and I would just, sort of chime in to compliment him on something or to ask a question. But maybe the best interview we ever did was working with Rip. If you haven't seen him, go back and watch him, because first of all, his story is amazing, and he overcame opiates and has a real perspective on what it was like trying to fight opiates through medical assisted treatment in the old days versus what it is today. There are a lot of people every day that I have to talk into medical assisted treatment because they have a preconceived notion of what it is going to be, right? It's they feel like, you hear MAT and you think, I'm going to be standing in a line at 5 o'clock in the morning. Becoming right-sized means to me, see the mind like a foot or a hand. It's great for getting things done, but don't let it have complete dominion over my life. That's for the source creator. You know what? It's a great comment. It really is, because it is. The mind is a tool. It absolutely is, and thinking about it in that kind of a way is healthy, because unfortunately, there are a lot of people on this planet that believe you are your mind, right? Your mind is you. You are your brain, and you're not. You really are not. It's one of those situations that you're so much more than your brain, and to try to get a handle on that is something that is, I don't know. It's a struggle. It's especially a struggle when you're trying to get sober. My hat is off to everybody that is struggling right now and fighting the good fight. Having people to talk to, having people to help you get perspective on your problem, whether this relates to drugs or alcohol or a marriage, gambling, eating, whatever. We lose perspective because, again, the mind is not, you're not your mind, and it's very easy to lose perspective on things. And things get wildly blown out of proportion. I mean, wildly blown out of proportion. And when you begin to talk to people about your problems, it's amazing how fast you'll hear somebody get on the phone, and I deal with this 10 times a day, where someone will get on the phone and go, you know what, Captain, man, I'm at the end of my rope. Life is over, man. It's done. Just hanging crepe. This is it, right? It's the end of it. I can't deal with this. And before it is over, to watch that attitude change and watch the perspective happen. And you don't have to be a great counselor. You don't have to be, Nostradamus to say to somebody, is it really that bad? Is this really, this is the end of the world kind of stuff? Just asking questions does amazing, amazing things for people. And it's what's going to be happening on this new platform that we're going to have, so that you can go and get people to talk to, because I think it's really, really going to be important. Scrappy Doo says, I'm going to be here as much as I can. Catch the live streaming. It's great to talk with or listen to people who have gone as deep as I have. What a great way to put it. Well, I'll tell you something, Scrappy. I have gone really, really deep. I know that Rip has gone amazingly deep. One of the things about rehabilitation, when you start doing it in a group setting, is to find out that there are people that went deeper sometimes really, really helps. When you realize that there were people out there that were so over the top, they were so lost deep in the forest and found their way out. That gives hope to people that quite simply often don't have it, right? Hope is, we've talked about this a lot, but the first sign of any kind of recovery is the belief that you can recover. If you're doing 4 grams of heroin a day, or if you're doing, $200 worth of fent a day, to come up with the belief that I can actually get off this stuff is next to impossible. It really is, until you get hope. Once hope, starts to take root, then the belief system can change. And the reason that group therapy works so well is you see someone and you go, I was doing 2 grams a day. I was so out of control. I was doing this and this. And then you meet someone that says, I was doing 7 grams a day and I was robbing banks to get the money so that I could use. That is something that is, it feels like you put way too much trust into YouTubers. It's a funny comment. YouTubers are people, and I put a lot of faith in them. I do. I put a lot of faith in people. It's the nature of what I do. It's the nature of recovery. You put faith into people. If you don't, good luck. There's a reason that this format is the gold standard. Now, is it a little different? It is. I sit in front of a camera instead of standing up in a room full of people who are all sitting around drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes, and the room smells like stale cigarettes and ashtrays and coffee. And instead of having a person stand up at the front of the room and come up with a topic for the day and talk about how they got sober, which has been the gold standard since 2 guys came up with this so many years ago. That really is the gold standard for a reason. And that reason is you cannot explain the unexplainable, right? If you try to explain to somebody that, after getting sober and after, becoming clean, I just decided to go out and use again, right? This is a concept that the average person cannot understand. It is the unexplainable. Okay, so you were sober for 5 years. Everything was going perfect. And you knew that if you had 1 drink, you were probably going to lose your wife. You were probably going to lose your job. You were going to become addicted again. And you may end up in prison, but you did it anyway. That is not something that can be explained to someone who has not been there and done that. This is the reason that group therapy is the gold standard. Because you don't have to try to explain something to someone that cannot be explained. Bank robbery is the dumbest thing you could possibly do, right? I mean, honestly, it's hard to come up with a thought where you sit and think about the dumbest things you could do, in terms of crime or anything else, right? Everybody gets caught. Bank robbery is one of those crimes that everybody eventually gets caught. The FBI is going to hunt you down and they're going to get you. But to walk into a bank and say, hand over all of the money because you need that next fix that much, obviously it's insanity, right? And that is the insanity of drug use. But try to explain that to somebody who has never used. When I have conversations with people and I tell them about my past, there are 2 kinds of people. There are those who have shared an addiction of some kind. Those individuals are not blown away by my story. The people who have never been addicted can't see past the idiocy of the things that I've done. Bank fraud or robbery, 9 out of 10 go to jail or die. True story. It's the vast majority go to jail. It's one of those crimes. It's getting to the point these days where it doesn't matter what the crime is, you're going to end up getting... Mary, good to see you. You're going to end up getting busted anyway because they're getting so much better. The technology is amazing. It's not a great time on the planet to be doing crime. Not that it ever was. But obviously, there was a time where getting away with things was a lot easier than it is now. But again, trying to explain the unexplainable is the reason that group therapy works. Now, I don't care what the group is. If it's a group of people who fought in a war in another country, or if it's a group of people who have had to endure abuse as a child, or if they've been sexually assaulted, or any of those things, you can't have a conversation with someone who cannot understand what you're going through. To try to explain the unexplainable makes you spin your wheels. Even if the person that you're talking to is a professional, even if they've done a really decent amount of time studying the right things to say, it gets very difficult to try to work through those processes. Now, when you don't have to explain it, somebody called me today and said, I relapsed. If that phone call was made to somebody else, the questions probably would have been, why would you do that? Right? You had this much sobriety. Why would you do something like that? You know what the result is going to be. Why would you do that? You don't have to worry about that in group therapy. I understand why that person relapsed. I mean, I'm not happy that they did. They're not happy that they did. But I understand why. There is a calling inside every addict that can't be explained to the non-addict. That doesn't mean that there aren't people who can help. Please don't misunderstand me. I know some people who have never been addicted that are some of the most loving and caring and helpful people in the world. But it requires a level of understanding in that you're not going to judge people for some of the stupid behavior. Ilea is a great example. Ilea is not an addict, but she was in very close proximity growing up to someone who was. And it has given her a perspective that the average normie quite simply doesn't have, right? And, for those individuals who have that kind of love and compassion, they can still be an awful lot of help. But yeah, I put a tremendous amount of faith in YouTubers every day. And, not just as a way for me to remain sober, but it's also become a family. This is a support family, and it's an important one to me. I was in one-on-one therapy. I genuinely thought denial was a choice, but it's not. When I broke through, I was dumbstruck. I really was unaware. Full of hope. Really glad to see you here. Thank you so much for the comment and for the support. And 3 or 4 people reach out to me in the last day or two to say, how's Full of Hope doing? And we're just glad that you're here. We're glad that you're doing all right. Hey, this is a tough run. There's a lot of things going on currently in the world that make this a difficult run. Under the best of circumstances, what we're trying to do is really a very difficult struggle. Hey, aloha, Kathy. It is a difficult struggle under the best of circumstances. We're not in the best of circumstances. There's a lot going on in the world right now that has raised the stress levels, right? It has done all kinds of things that have really made it more difficult. But it is not impossible, people. And the key is being around people that understand. Cindy Pardee said, I went to an AA women's meeting of 12 Thursday, and 2 people stood up as newcomers who had 13 and 16 years. It's an everyday practice. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's great hearing those new... Hello, room. Thank you for being here today. Well, we're glad that you're here, too. Thank you for stopping by the boat. Well, you know what? Optimism is what it is, right? Try helping people get sober without it. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day who has a family member that has broken their heart 150 times. Christmas will roll around and this individual will show up and they'll swear that they're sober and that, things are good. And before the holiday is over, they will have stolen $40 or $50 out of somebody's wallet and disappeared to go and get high. And every single time this person shows back up, the family hopes against hope that this is going to be the time that it's going to be real. Optimism is the key to this. There's no mistaking it. And there are people that probably laugh at me for it. But I do what I do here because I believe in my heart of hearts that no one is beyond hope. I don't think that there is anybody that is beyond hope. And if I thought that there was, then I probably... Joanna, yep, to little room here, but I think my life is in danger and there won't be time to listen and I have no help. If you feel like your life is in danger and you feel like your life is in danger from drugs, please reach out sober@myyahoo.com. Sober@myyahoo.com. Not Yahoo, but myyahoo.com. Please, as soon as the show is over, send me an email to sober@myyahoo.com. I would love to talk with you one-on-one. You can't give up hope, people. You can't. Hope is the absolute greatest thing that we're capable of as human beings. It really is. It is the greatest thing that we are capable of. That's the way it goes. Without it, there's no point in any of this. There are people on this boat who relapsed 25 times before they got it right. Right? It really is one of those situations that every single time somebody gets back up and says, I'm going to try it again, then we all say, this is going to be the time you're going to make it. And we support them and we believe that. And that becomes a challenge. It really does. The reason that I don't give up hope on people is because it took me 30 years to get sober. 30 years. And I had people that never gave up on me, thank God. I think children are like Vegemite. You either love them or keep them at the back of the cupboard next. You know what? That's pretty funny. Vegemite's just awful, but it is a good-looking mug. Oh boy, I'm telling you, people. Now I can look in 5 directions now and see comments this big, which is absolutely awesome. It really is. It's the new setup that I've got is really going to make life a whole lot better here. Please, thoughts and prayers for Mark. As I said, he's going through it. Swiss Vapor. Speaking of people that you talk about just hope, right? Swiss Vapor has overcome more than the average 10 people, right, who get sober. The amount that this man was using and abusing, and the things that he has gone through, and the things that he has seen, really is an inspiration. Swiss Vape is an amazing guy. It really is such an inspiration. I can't explain it. Joe says, I relapsed twice on a different drug some years ago and jumped off a building thinking it was helping others, but fighting forward helps. I'm praying for you all. Joe, I'm glad that you're here, man. I really am. I really am. And I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you're here, right? That you're still here. Joe's a great guy. I feel blessed that you're here on the boat, man. Love seeing you here. I really do. But yeah, people, if you start to feel like you're insane after you've got a little bit of sobriety under your belt, if you start feeling like you're damaged goods, or you start feeling like you're not right, then you've gotten to that point in sobriety where you have to start working on the bigger issues, right? In the very beginning, the only issue is getting clean. Plain and simple. The only issue is getting clean. Once you get the chemicals out of your body, you can start to work on some of the larger and more important issues, right? Things like spirituality, things like family, all of the stuff that takes a back seat when you're using dope every single day, right? Those are the big questions. And when you start feeling like, I don't know, you're not quite right, even though you're sober, that's your brain throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you to try to get you to use again. That's when you reach out and start talking to your 5. And you may have to talk to 5 people a day, every day for 6 months. It's not the end of the world. Think of the amount of time you spent getting high. Think about the amount of time you spent chasing down dope, sitting in bars, doing whatever it was that was your substance of choice. The amount of time that we've wasted in our life to take a little time now to talk to 5 people, time very well spent. Yep, clean then the holes and or why you got on them. It's an uphill battle. And that's why the people are here for you. You know, one of the reasons that I think people are here for one another, the two things that jump out is, number one, we've all been there and done that. And we know what it feels like to have your life owned by a substance. And that's a pain that can't be explained to people who have not been there. And that's one of the reasons that I think people are here doing what they do. If I had 5 people, I'd do that. That's why I love it here. Scrappy Doo. Right there. See that? Please add yourself to the new group. Thank you, Lady Crispin. You see that, people? Please add yourself there. Read the rules at the top. This is an opportunity for you to put together a list of people that you can talk to. Being off benzos is the best of what I did. Giving up alcohol was even better. My cold turkey was a bad idea. Please talk to the doc. It almost killed me. I'm glad that you said that. Diary of the Madman says, sorry for the late appearance. I've been working all day and I took a shower and fell asleep for a few hours. Yesterday took me out physically. We're just glad you're here, bud. And I know that yesterday took you out of there. It was really a tough day for you. We're glad that you're here. We're at the top of the hour, people. I would like you to see one more time what Lady Crispin just put up, okay? Please make sure that you get over there to the group. Read the rules. See how it works. This is an opportunity for you to build a support system of people that you can lean on. Put some faith in people that are YouTubers. Might find some really incredible things that happened. And for all of you that support the mission here, God bless you, each and every one of you. Whether you choose to be a subscriber or whether you're someone that just comes every day, means nothing one way or the other. But I'm glad that you guys are here. It means the world to us. And I will show you Squirrel, I promise. Alrighty, people. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass, my man is taking some really well-needed rest. And honestly, I hope he takes one more day. I want Mark firing on all cylinders, okay? But I will be back tomorrow night. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Thank you to my mods. You guys do a tremendous job. Love you. I really do. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. And that is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.